So today I'm making this video of 12 tips to help your child get off the screen. And we're in the car today because I have 5 kids and 2 are autistic and I'm a super busy mom. So this is the only way I can make the video for you, but who cares about the background, right? It doesn't really matter. What matters is the tips are actually legit and they're useful and they're something that you can take home and you can start today to help your child get off the screen just a little bit more. So here's 12 tips to help your child have less screen time. Ezra and Simon are my 2 youngest and they also are autistic. Simon has level 1 autism and Ezra has level 3 autism. And the levels of autism isn't actually a level of severity, it's actually just the level of support that is needed. And so it can vary throughout someone's life. They can have level 3 at a younger age and go to level 2 or even 1 at an older age as they build more independence and just need less support. Simon's 5 years old and Ezra is 9 years old. And we are here in the car because we are waiting for their older sister to get back from volleyball. And we're gonna make this video and it's gonna be super fun. So the first tip to help your child get off some screen time is to incorporate non-screen games. So you can see here, Simon loves this game where he puts these puzzle things together and matches them on the cards. He's actually pretty good at it and he enjoys it. He loves it, especially when he can do it with someone like a peer or a sibling or family member, even a parent that he can really interact with at the same time. So incorporate games or puzzles or things that still kind of give you a little bit of dopamine, but doesn't require a screen. This can encourage social interaction, problem solving, and turn taking, which are all really good things. Second one is daily routines. This tip is really important especially for autistic kids. My autistic kids thrive on routine because then they can anticipate what's going to happen next. They can anticipate how much time they're going to spend on a routine on and off their screen because that's what they always do. And so if they have that routine down, then they can have that expectation and they can have less anxiety. One thing that I do, and this isn't a little extra bonus tip, is when my son Simon wakes up, I make sure that he cannot find the iPad. It is not where he can find it. He doesn't see it. Out of sight, out of mind. It's important. Very important for that. Number 3 is use timers. You can see here, Simon even knows how to set his own timer. So, I can watch him to make sure he sets the right time, but he can set it and he can look at it and see visually like how much time he has left. When he was younger, we'd have a visual timer where he could actually see the needle move and he could say, okay, I've got this much time. And even when he was younger and didn't really understand time very well, we would say 5 minutes and he'd be like, well, I don't know what 5 minutes is. And so we would relate it to something that takes 5 minutes, like a TV show or a little short or something, and then he would be able to go, oh, okay, that is going to be 2 Bluey episodes or something, which I don't even know what that is. That would be 40 minutes, I think. And he'd be like, okay, well, that's something that he knows how long it takes. He knows the duration, and so then he can kind of visualize it and have that expectation, and then it's not a surprise for him. So those timers, and especially be creative with how you can visualize the timer, can be really helpful with autistic kids. Tip 4 is give warnings. This is something that I wish someone would have told me earlier because it makes such a big difference. Whenever my kids, especially my autistic kids, are doing something, they don't want to be interrupted. Imagine if you're in the middle of doing something that you really love and then someone just comes in like out of nowhere and says, you need to stop. We need to go home now. Or you need to stop. You're done with your screen time. It's hard. It's hard because you're interrupting them. But if you give them warnings, then they can anticipate, okay, I've got 10 minutes. I've got 7 minutes. I've got 5 minutes. You can do this with screen time. You can do this with any type of transition that may be difficult for your child, like leaving a friend's house. That is hard because you're not there. But if you have a friend that's going to leave in 5 minutes, you can be like, hey, let's go up and get shoes on because your friend's mom or dad are gonna come in 5 minutes. We're gonna come in 10 minutes. Then they can anticipate that the people are gonna leave. And we actually did this one time. We forgot to give any warnings, and we had Ian, Alistair, and Connor over, and they're our friends, the Autism family, and they have an awesome YouTube channel, and they live by us, and three of them were over, and I didn't give any warnings for Simon. The parents came, and it was time for them to go back to their house. Obviously, that happens when you have friends over. It's usually there's a time when they leave. And I didn't give Simon any warnings, and you can see here like how mad he is and how sad he is because I didn't give him those warnings. So those warnings can be really, really helpful to help bring down anxiety. Tip 5 is plan outdoor play. Sometimes you have to get creative, because if a child is used to being on the screen all the time and you just put them in a park, they may not know what to do. They may not be in, a slide or a swing may not be very enticing to them. You can introduce new things to your child, like a skateboard, longboard, big trampoline, or even a bike. And you can have those fun things, that novelty, be enticing for them to play outside or play a new sport, especially with people who they can socially interact with. And that can be a fun experience. And also they can get some exercise and get some energy out. So it's even better. Tip 6 has to do with sensory activities. My autistic kids especially need to have some kind of sensory diet where they play with water, they play with water beads. We have kinetic sand and Play-Doh. All those things can help just regulate themselves and their body, and it's fun anyway. And these things can help engage them without needing a screen. Simon has really enjoyed playing his piano. We do little lessons, every few days for him. And this piano is his certain size. It's made for a kid, and he loves it. He practices on it every day. Tip 7 is interactive arts or crafts. Really, anytime that your child can get excited about creating something physically and not just creating something like designing something online, that is fun too. But when you have that physical creation, they can be so proud of what they created. You can take it and show people. You can put it on your wall, put it on your fridge, and they can be proud of that. They can create something that wasn't there before. And that is really a fun thing to do. And it's also engaging. It engages other people's interests as well. When people come to your house and they see, oh, I see, Simon's a little artist. And this is something that he can work on, that he can master, that he can improve on. And so it is really fun to create things, whether that's art or doing crafts and things like that. We would do arts and crafts sometimes when we lived full-time in an RV, because as we drove, a lot of times all the kids wanted to do was just play Minecraft on their device, which was very helpful as far as getting kids to get along. And they could just put their headphones on, go on their Minecraft and design things. And so we let them have a lot of screen time, ironically, as we lived full-time in an RV and we were traveling all the national parks. But when I could go to a local store and just even the dollar store and get some crafts and bring it to the RV, we'd set up the table and then we would work on things. And they would create things physically and not just on a screen. Then that really helped reduce the screen time in the RV. We still post regularly of our unique normal, so please consider subscribing. You can try projects that require patience and practice their fine motor skills, like beading or sticker activities or making collages. I teach this in a book that I'm writing. It's called The Unique Normal, 12 Mistakes That We Made While Raising Autistic Kids. And we talk about lessons we learned. And this is something that I love doing because I'm writing this book for parents of autistic kids to help them feel joy in the journey of raising autistic kids and to build strong relationships with their children. So if you want to check out that book, there's a link in the description below. Tip number 8 is play dates. This can really help with increasing social skills. It's really hard to understand social skills, especially if you don't get the opportunity to practice. So this gives your child opportunities to practice. And you can go over with them, hey, what do we do in this situation? Or why do we say thank you? Or why do we say please? Why do we take turns? And a lot of times my autistic kids, once they realize the why behind it, the why behind some social expectation, it does help them remember to actually do it. If you just say, oh, you have to listen to me just because I'm the adult, really in any situation, like, how is that helpful? It's not. But if my autistic kids, if they understand, oh, I say thank you because it will help someone be happy, like a teacher, then okay, I'll say thank you. We can't just assume that an autistic child is going to understand all the social cues, because that's just not fair. But we can teach them. Autistic kids can learn a lot of times even faster than neurotypical kids. So it just depends. Of course, autism is a spectrum. Sometimes they need a lot more repetitive, opportunities to learn. Ezra's like that. He needs a lot of opportunities, a lot of times doing the same thing again and again. But he'll learn, and he'll learn those social cues. I remember when Ezra was really little, I would put food in his mouth and he would always try and bite my finger. Well, one time he bit it and I yelled, and then he never did it again. He finally understood. He's like, oh, I don't want to hurt mom, right? And I would tell him again and again, don't hurt me, don't bite me. And of course, now that he's 9 years old, he can feed himself and he's great. He's learning, right? It's all progress. Tip number 9, please include your child's interests. Most kids who are on the spectrum will have some kind of intense interest. If you use that in some kind of activity that doesn't involve screen time, then that can be really motivating for your child. Please don't feel like you have to limit that or take away that interest.
What's the word?
That'll make things harder. But if you bring in that interest and make it fun and exciting, then they can do that activity and they won't need that screen time anymore. Tip number 10 is one that we're still working on, especially with our teenagers, and that is setting up locations or times of the day where screens are off. So for example, when we're at the dinner table, screens are down. We don't use our screen, right? Because it's time to not be on our phone. It's time to have family dinner. And then there's certain times of the day where it's we have a quiet time. And this kind of goes with routines as well. We have an expectation that at certain times of the day, it's quiet time. We're not going to be on screens. We're going to do something else. We're going to read. We're going to play puzzles. We're going to play a game, things like that. Sometimes this is hard to introduce your child to all of this at once. So please just know that even if you increase or decrease the screen time just a little bit every day, then it will increase that socialization and it will increase that time away from that screen. Little by little, it'll work. If you just say, oh, cold turkey, no screen time, you might have a very difficult child on your hands, understandably, because you just took away their best friend. You just took away something that they love doing. But if you replace it with something little by little, then you'll most likely have more success in introducing other enticing things, like playing with their friends and going outside and being in the sunshine. It's very important. Tip number 11 is positive reinforcements. This one, you probably think of, oh, that's a given. But think about most of the time, parents will automatically go to, oh no, you need to be punished because you did something bad. Well, how about we reverse that? Let's turn it upside down, and let's proactively set up rewards for the good behavior that can reinforce the behavior that we want. For example, if you have a special activity or a special favorite snack that your child really loves doing or eating, then you can say, hey, if you only stick to your half an hour or a certain time of screen time that you've agreed to, then you get a sticker on a chart that day. And then once you get so many stickers, then you get to go to your bounce house or extreme air sports or something that you're willing to give them that is novel and fun and exciting and also healthy and off of the screen. So those are some ideas. And the last tip is introducing apps that help them learn. So you can have that screen time just a little bit at a time, turn that gaming screen time into learning screen time. So this especially is helpful when you have a child who is addicted to screen time. And so maybe you can't just say, oh, you have to go outside and jump on the trampoline now. They won't do it. So if you have a child that just wants to be on screen, you can change a little bit of their time, little by little, right? Incrementally, maybe even daily. A little bit of their time can be switched to a learning app. So if they do their learning app for half an hour, then they can do a game for half an hour or something like that, whatever works well for your family. This is especially important for those kids who
have a really hard time getting off their screen. And this can happen really easily because as a parent, it is so easy to use that screen as a babysitter. It can be so tempting to use it a lot. So believe me, I understand. Here's Simon's first day of school, and here's a playlist that you might like. And remember, if you have an autistic child, you're in good company.